stuff as well. When you watch games with the 5 metres, you see attacks were ran from a lot deeper, didn't they? That the lines that people run from out wide, because you had to create the space for yourself with that. Whereas the 10 metres, you kind of can do the flatter balls, can't you? Because the space is already there, and you forget how much that changed things in the sport for someone who's come to the sport after that existed.
Yeah.
And we cry at stuff about rule changes or whatever, but we've had every bloody rule changed.
Several times, like backwards and forwards.
Yeah. Like the only thing that you might say hasn't changed is we have to pass the ball backwards, but no, because you're allowed to pass it flat these days. You don't have to pass it backwards, even though the rule books say one thing.
Yeah, number of players on the pitch at a time.
Well, yeah, between 1895 and 1906, it was 15 still, wasn't it?
Oh, there we go. So
Yeah.
That's only been consistent for a little while.
We still had line-outs, I think, for a year. So, yeah. There you go. If you want more about actual factual representations of rule changes, I'm sure Rugby Reloaded is the podcast where you can pick those things up. And I remembered it first time this week, Alan, so there you go.
Well done.
Sarah, you said you've not had the chance to watch any full games over the last week. Is there any sort of plans kind of at the moment with any games that are coming up that you guys want to watch, or does Joshua keep ruining them all when you sit down to start watching them by remembering what happened?
Do you know there was another case that he did that I can't even remember what it was now? No. Yeah, I don't know. I tend to see what's coming up, what Hull FC are showing on the Facebook and what's coming up on various other places, but things are still... evenings are still fairly busy here, so with various groups happening and everything.
Getting the kids to the Zooms on time.
Yeah. It feels like that at times.
Excellent stuff. Right, well, that's a bit of reminiscing done. What we're going to go into next is my chat with a couple of guys from the Blackpool Stanley Rugby League club, and then so I don't know. I always find it hard to segue into the bits that are pre-recorded, guys. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, Blackpool Stanley interview next. So this week I had the opportunity to talk to a couple of guys from one of my local rugby league amateur clubs, the Blackpool Stanley side. So we're going to talk a little bit more to Brett, who's the coach of the side. Brett is formerly a League One player for Hunslet and Hemel in his career day, and now he's the head coach at the Blackpool Stanley side. And also joining us is Andy as well. He's one of the players for the Blackpool Stanley side. He's a prop in the current side. He's an NHS worker as well, which we'll hear about during the interview. He's a York City Knights fan. So let's hear what these guys had to say about rugby league in Blackpool and the great charity and fundraising work that the club is doing right now. So it's an extra bonus for this week's show. We've got a couple of guys in to talk about Blackpool Stanley Rugby League Club. And we've got Brett, who's the coach and fancies himself as a bit of a ball-playing forward. And we've got Andy, who's one of the props there, and also one of the key workers, one of our NHS heroes right now. So thanks for being involved, guys. We've got a few topics to talk about. Brett, I suppose the first thing to talk about is the charity work that Blackpool Stanley are doing right now to raise money for the club and for the NHS.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago we set ourselves the challenge as a team to run and cycle a combined 5,000 miles. We were having conversations around how we could bring in a bit of income for the club, with obviously our season being postponed at the moment, and we rely heavily on home fixtures to generate a bit of income for the club to kind of keep going. So came up with this idea of running and cycling 5,000 miles to try and get sponsorship, people to sponsor the lads to do it, but wanted to make sure we supported NHS as well. So all the money raised will be going 50-50 towards the club as well as the NHS. But it's been really good to kind of support the lads' physical and mental health as well during this lockdown period.
You mean as the coach you've tried to come up with something that means that they're all still in good condition when we get on the other side of this?
it's like another pre-season for them. So I didn't want them to undo all the hard work we've just done pre-season and just be watching Netflix and eating all sorts. So yeah, it's just an excuse to get them out running, but for a good cause.
No, it sounds great. And as people will be listening to this, you'll be coming towards the end of your challenge. And where can people go to donate to help support you and the NHS, of course, as well?
Yeah, so I think if you visit our Twitter or our Facebook, or our Twitter at BPL Stanley RL or Blackpool Stanley Rugby League on Facebook, and our GoFundMe link is on both of them, or just search Blackpool Stanley Rugby League on GoFundMe.
Excellent stuff. Well, what we'll do is we'll put a link to that in the information for this episode as well, so people can donate and support you. They can feel like they're helping Grassroots Rugby League, and they can also feel like they're helping our NHS at this really key time. Andy, are they making you do all these miles as well as working all these long hours at the hospital?
Well, I'm trying my best to contribute what I can. But the bike I've got access to, my missus' dad's, the seat is very unforgiving, I might say. And well, the miles that I've put in have taken their toll on my bum. So yeah, I've done my best.
Excellent, good stuff, and obviously you're working on the front line at the hospital. The hospital is just a couple of Joe Lydon drop goals away from where you guys play as well in Blackpool, so very close to that community that your club's involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Good stuff. So that charity stuff is fantastic. People can follow along. You put in regular updates on your Twitter feed, aren't you, of what people have done. I get to see a lot of local maps from around my area and think, oh, that guy just cycled down the end of my road, or that guy ran around the park near me, and stuff like that. I was relieved when I saw someone actually ran around Stanley Park as well, because I thought you can't be Blackpool Stanley and not have someone running around Stanley Park as the classic running venue in Blackpool.
I know it's a key one, but it's not enough miles though, unfortunately. So we've been having to be creative with our routes. I think a lot of lads have been going to Fleetwood, Lytham, just trying to get their miles in.
Yeah, good stuff. It's good to follow along anyway. So check out the Twitter page there if you want to follow what the guys have been doing over the last couple of weeks or so as they come towards the end of their challenge. Let's talk a little bit more about rugby league in Blackpool as well, because I'm from the area. I was born in Blackpool Victoria Hospital and grown up all my life in the Fylde Coast, and I always kind of feel like we're on the edge of the heartlands, but we're not quite heartlands. That's what I always sort of feel like. So what's it like being involved in a rugby league club in Blackpool?
It's great. I mean, I was born and bred here. All my family are from Wigan, but I think it is sometimes forgotten about, and it does have a massive history in terms of when you look back to Blackpool Borough and even Blackpool Panthers not too long ago. And I'd love to see professional rugby back in Blackpool at some point. So for me, coaching now in Blackpool, having grown up playing here as a youngster, I want to see as many young people especially, involved in rugby league. And I think that comes from having volunteer coaches and people that are willing to set up junior teams and kind of introduce kids to rugby league at an early age. Because I think I said it recently that a lot of kids in the town, they kind of grow up playing football or cricket or rugby union, and some won't even ever try rugby league. So a big thing for us is to our kind of next step as a club to try and grow even more is to try and build our junior section and get into primary schools and high schools and give kids a taste of rugby league and get them playing and hopefully hook them in and get them down to the club.
Yeah, I mean we've got a hometown hero in Super League again now with Joe Bullock being at the Wigan Warriors. I don't want to cause any friction. He did rise through the ranks at the other team at the south end of the town. The Scorpions. I'm an ex-Scorpion myself, so I played with Joe at Scorpions and at St Pat's. But I don't obviously not at Scorpions anymore. But a lot of fond memories playing down there. For me, it doesn't. There's historically a rivalry there between Stanley and Scorpions, but for me, just rugby league, the more people in general that play rugby league in Blackpool is a bonus. So I just want to see the sport growing in the town, no matter who people are playing for in a way. And Andy, as a prop, do you think it's good that we've got a homespun prop playing in the Super League from Blackpool?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, it's great stuff. For me, I think I joined. Go on.
No, go on. I was going to say, do you try and model your game on Joe Bullock at all? I mean, it's pretty quick, so I don't know where your speed's at.
I don't know. I reckon I'm pretty quick.
Excellent.
You have to have that about that, though, mate.
Andy's an 8-minute prop. Put it that way. He doesn't.
The best. Yeah. I reckon I joined at the right time though, Blackpool Stanley, because we were just getting back into trying to get a foothold in playing league games again, I guess. And for me, being a new starter in rugby league, it was great. Because lots of new guys coming down. There's one of the lads, Mike Healy. We started at the same time and both really enjoyed it.
Yes, so you played a bit of union mostly, before, but you're enjoying playing your rugby league now. I mean, it's unforgiving. It's an 80-minute prop, I'm guessing, in the National League competitions. What about the Northwest Counties kind of league structure now? As things might change, do you guys get updated by the central organisation, sort of saying when you might be able to play matches again and that sort of stuff, or is it kind of just wait and see what the government tells us?
Our chairman and the members of the committee have been in kind of contact with the Northwest Counties and the RFL. Nothing's been kind of said as of yet, but obviously the announcement last week around how the NCL is going to continue with the regional games. So we're not sure if we'll maybe follow suit in that regard, or we're just kind of waiting and seeing what will happen with that. It
could mean a return to sort of action against the Scorpions, which will be an entertaining thing for the town to get behind.
It would be really good, yeah. I think we have been looking at putting a fixture in at some point to play those guys. Obviously, I played there years ago. They're a very experienced side. I think they're doing well in Division 3 now. And like I said, we've been rebuilding. From when I took over coaching, there wasn't a team at Stanley, so we've got a very young side, but we're getting better and progressing with each game. So I think that'd be great for the town to have that kind of two teams playing against each other again. Would definitely get a big crowd down and whatnot.
Yeah, and it'd help people, maybe people who used to play for either side, or people who've been involved with the clubs over the years, or just rugby league fans in the area, or give them maybe something to entice them to go down, take their kids with them. Hopefully some youngsters will get inspired to get involved in the game. I think we're kind of too long past the topic of conversation that I drunkenly have with anyone who wants to listen to me, or anyone who doesn't want to listen to me, at every year's summer bash, which is trying to tell them all about how Billy Boston ended his career just down the road from there, and Brian Bevan pulled on the.
Well, yeah, no, I think that's the key. Though, like I said, those ex-players, I don't think enough in the town where you get people that maybe played for Scorpions or Stanley years ago. Compared to like when I've played in places like Wigan, or in your kind of rugby league heartland areas like your St Helens, your Leeds, your Wigan, there's that kind of transition from you stop playing and then you'll go to become a coach or volunteer, whereas we do struggle, I think, like ourselves and Scorpions. We years ago, both clubs had junior teams from under 12s all the way to under 18s, probably more. And at the moment, there's no junior section in either club, and it's a shame. But I think that comes from there's a need there for volunteers to run those teams as well.
Yeah, and when there isn't the Blackpool Boroughs of the days gone by, the Panthers of the more recent past, it's kind of maybe harder to get traction, get people together to form those sort of groups, those community groups, and get your volunteers in, isn't it? Because there's no sort of central kind of thing that everyone does together around rugby league. So here's hoping that Summer Bash comes back to Blackpool down the way as well.
Definitely, definitely. Me and we always kind of plug, if there's any millionaires out there that are wanting to back a professional team in Blackpool, then just give us a ring, because we'd like to buy that.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, hopefully someone comes back to the town and all's not lost from the days. I mean, that was a fun time when the Panthers broke the salary cap, and I don't know how they did it, and had a good team for 6 months before they got kicked out of the league. Those were good days. So this week's episode, guys, the position we're going to be talking about is centre. So I just thought it'd be nice to finish with talking to you guys about maybe some of the favourite centres that you've got from in rugby league. So maybe if we start with you, Andy.